friends, it is Tuesday, May 2nd. We just finished our Board of Supervisors meeting. We started a little after 9 o'clock, maybe like 9:05, and ended at about 1:30. We had our Pledge of Allegiance said to us by the Arizona State for a runner-up champs, the Pueblo girls basketball team. Thank you so much to Coach Izzy, Ismael Galindo, for all of his dedication to the players here. He's been a coach for 11 years at Pueblo. And thank you especially, and a shout out to Victoria Casares for now being the all-time point getter. I mean, she broke a record at Pueblo. So congratulations to you there. We also had the land acknowledgement offered by Sarah Lomayespa, and she is a research and evaluation specialist with Pima County Justice Services. Thank you for that. We had Monica Dangler come with Paws for Paws and brought these little kitties that need to be fostered. So if any of you have room in your homes and in your hearts to foster these little babies, they're just tiny. I think they were like 6 weeks old, and they still need some care and attention before they're able to be adopted. We had a lot of proclamations during our meeting. We had several that were put forward specifically by District 5. We had the National Historic Preservation Month, and we also had the Day of Awareness of the Epidemic of Missing and Murdered Indigenous People. And that was really just a very emotional and touching proclamation. And so I want to thank April Ignacio, Elaine Gregg from Indivisible Tohono, Chucho Ruiz, Ana Harper Guerrero, and Javi Ramirez from Emerge Center Against Sexual and Domestic Abuse, and Maria Molina from the Pascuayaqui tribe. I believe they had at least 20 additional people there holding pictures of missing, murdered, and children and women, and it was very emotional. And so I just want to thank them for coming, and I thought that it was, as April said, the bare minimum that we can do as a county, and it was really a call to action of both Pima County and the city of Tucson for us to do something. There was an analysis done, and the evaluation results came back, and city of Tucson is number 4 in the nation for the level of missing Indigenous women and children in our community. And so we have to do something, and I want to thank them for bringing the attention. And it was just a really powerful moment, probably one that I will remember forever. It was that powerful. And thank you to our recorder, Gabriela Casares Kelly, for also being there in support. Right after the proclamations, we went directly to item 11, and this is it was the conversation about update on county initiatives to address homelessness and public safety. This is an item that is on our agenda on a monthly basis, and the goal is to have the same presentation happen at the Pima County Board of Supervisors meetings and the city of Tucson. Mari Vasquez, who is a joint employee with the city and the county, and our deputy county administrator, Steve Holmes, reported, and what they said was the majority of the misdemeanors are handled by the city courts. And so as much as, there's been a lot of criticism of what we're doing or not doing at the county level, specifically with the courts, our county, we don't get involved until it is a felony case. The misdemeanor cases are something that the city courts handle. And so we were informed that there will be an establishment of a Tucson community court. And this will be a pilot affecting people in the 85705 and 01 zip codes. And I think that that's going to be really important. The start date for that was actually yesterday, and court for that will be Fridays 1:30 to 3:30. And the whole goal is to improve the quality of life of our community members. And there was a little discussion about the zone restrictions, and that's something that Chief Kazmar also spoke on. So I think that all of those pieces are going to be really critical. I wanted to, so we went through the agenda. Right after that item, we went directly to item number 16, which is Pima Prospers, and that was a 2025 comprehensive plan update, and it was an update to get public participation. that item passed 5-0. And I think what was important is that the goal is to get as much input into that plan as possible. It is a 10-year plan. We can do it more often, but the county has been on the cycle of 10 years. And so I thought that if you have an opportunity to go and look at that comprehensive plan and give us some feedback, that would be very helpful, because what we heard from staff is that the outreach is going to come really at the recommendation of each supervisorial office. And so for District 5, we're obviously going to get them in touch with our 52 neighborhood associations and different individual groups, including the Tucson Mountains. But we just want to make sure that we're being as inclusive as possible so people can hear from us. The next item that we covered was the annual action plan, and that one covered the Pima County Community Development Block Grants, the CDBG, and also ESG funding, which is Emergency Solutions Grants. And what I did want to highlight is, while there are many good organizations here, many from our rural communities, the total requested for CDBG, for example, was $7.3 million, and what was recommended for funding is 2.66 or 2.67. And so the need is obviously much greater than what we have to be able to fund. And for ESG, the total requested was almost $600,000, and what was recommended for funding is $241,000. And again, that's not because there weren't really quality requests in each of these, but because the funding just isn't there. And so congratulations to those organizations, and also please know that we understand that the need is greater, and we'll do everything we can to advocate for more funding to go directly into these. But this is federal funding that's passed through. So I think that that's also something to note, that it is not something under the discretion of Pima County, but we do have outside agency funding that could be. We had a Maricopa County Industrial Development Authority revenue bonds. That was item number 17. And so it stood out, obviously, on a county agenda because it says Maricopa County. But what this it's a recommendation of approval of and the issuance of an IDA authority bond for Banner Health. And so the reason why we are approving it is because Banner Health is in Pima County, but the bonds are coming from Maricopa. So I just wanted to clarify that. We had an item 18 for the reclassification and compensation of positions requested by Pima County Recorder Gabriela Casares Kelly, who was also there. What she's trying to do, and many of our departments are doing, is trying to ensure that people are getting compensated fairly for the work that they're doing and not have general titles. And so as we're going through this reclassification process, different departments have come specifically to the board, and this is what our county recorder was doing. That item passed 3-2 with Supervisor Bronson and Christie voting no. We had several other items. The biggest one that I want to thank Dora Rodriguez, the chair of Humane Borders, and Gail Coswick I know I'm mispronouncing your last name, Gail, I apologize, from Tucson Humanitarians. And then we had another speaker speak specifically to their support of Humane Borders and asking the board to support that. You know, what I think is really telling about this is something that has been approved by Pima County for the last 2 decades. And what we're not trying to take a political position as to whether people should be in the desert or not. We're trying to save lives by giving people water. And, you know, the item passed 3-2. Supervisors Bronson and Christie voted no on this Humane Borders item. And thank you to Supervisor Scott and Supervisor Hines for voting with me in favor of this. And the item passed 3-2. This is only a $30,000 award from our general fund, and it's going to save lives. And so I was very surprised that the item passed 3-2. I thought it would pass with a greater majority. We had, let's see, I want to give a shout out to Aslan Youth Program. I was, in this effort to try to streamline our board meetings and try to make up for some lost time, I didn't get a chance to give you a shout out and thank you for your all of your work in our community. You know, Aslan Youth Program has done some amazing work, and so I'm glad that Pima County is able to support it and that I was able to vote for it. I'm glad about that. We had a couple other items the acceptance of community and workforce development. This is from the Arizona Office of Economic Opportunity, and this is a training for and recovery of dislocated worker grant programs. So Supervisor Christie voted no on this item, and I was confused by it because it is a grant award for a 2-year term over $1 million to try to help people who have been dislocated get trained in other positions that we're in desperate need of in Pima County and across the nation. I was a little surprised that that one didn't pass unanimously. And then we had some really long discussions. So what I thought was interesting is that we had an item that was brought forward by Supervisor Christie on an update on the I-10 hazardous materials and spill report. What we were told is that this was an executive summary. It was not the complete report, it's an executive summary by Director Clark. And Director Clark had some really just unnecessary and seemed to me very ill-informed comments that were made by different people that were coming to call to the audience, not clearly understanding that this is not an issue that Pima County is directly responsible or reports on, because it happened on I-19 on the interstate, which is a state function. So I appreciate that we received the information that we did. Apparently we're going to get an unredacted copy from our county administrator, because there is a complete copy, and then we'll get a redacted copy because we want to make sure that we're not revealing anything that is confidential. So I think that that would be really important. We have a new website in Pima County, and so what we'd like you to do is give us some feedback. It's www.pima.gov, and it's a redesign. And so I thought it was really, it's well done. There's some pieces that need to be tweaked, obviously, because you're going from one model to another. It seems a little more interactive in the opportunity to add more information in that includes current events. There's a calendar that has events and meetings, and so you don't, all of that information would be on those calendars. That would be incredibly helpful to us here at our offices, because sometimes we miss events because we just didn't know about them in time. And then we also had a government operations and border management. This was an item that was brought forward by Supervisor Christie. He was targeting the testimony of Dr. Francisco Garcia, our Deputy County Administrator and Chief Medical Officer. He spoke at the U.S. Senate Committee on Homeland Security and spoke of the need for Pima County to have some support, financial and otherwise. And I just thought he did a really good job, and his entire testimony transcript is attached on that item. But I encourage y'all to look at it, because I wanted to thank Dr. Garcia for his words and for highlighting the needs that we have here in Pima County. Our next meeting is going to be on May 16th. Thank you so much for your time and attention to Pima County politics. Stay safe, friends. Bye-bye.